There was never a bad time for fish and chips growing up for me. I lived in a small village just next door to the world's largest fish and chip shop. Hello everyone, I'm Stefan. I'm a chef tutor here at the Waitrose Cookery School. Today I'm going to be recreating an absolute British takeaway classic, crispy beer battered fish. This is a British dish beyond repute, and it's so much easier to do at home than you would imagine. So I'm one of the newer chefs here at the Waitrose Cookery School. I actually retrained as a chef in my 30s, and I've been teaching in cookery schools ever since. So the first stage of this recipe is just activating our yeast with the beer. I need 250 mils, about half a bottle. The beer we're using today is a Dutchy Original Golden Ale. This is going to give our batter a lovely golden colour and give it some real lightness. And to that, I'm going to be adding dried yeast, sprinkled on top. Give it a little stir. So this is all mixed together nicely. It now just needs to sit for 10 minutes to let the yeast soak in and activate. If you want to make this recipe but don't want to use the beer or the alcohol, you can substitute that for a club soda or a sparkling water just to recreate that kind of fizz and bubble that gives your batter that lightness. So while this is soaking, I'm just going to move this to one side while I mix together all my dry ingredients. So in a bowl, I have my self-raising flour. The little bit of baking powder in there is just going to give extra lightness to the batter. I'm going to add some sugar. I have some salt, about half a teaspoon, a large pinch of white pepper, which I'm using mainly to maintain the color of the batter. I don't want any specks of the black pepper in there. And finally, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of corn flour. This is just going to help thicken my batter and allow it to stick to my fish better. My yeast and my beer has now had at least 10 minutes, but what I'm looking for is for the yeast to be fully dissolved. What I'm going to do now is whisk that into my dry ingredients, starting by just mixing together all those dry parts of the batter first, and then slowly pouring in my beer and yeast mixture. Doing this slowly is just going to help keep your batter nice and smooth, rather than adding it all in one go, which can lead to lumps. But don't worry too much. Any lumpy batter can usually be dispelled by just leaving the batter to rest for a good 10 to 15 minutes, which we're going to do anyway. So for me, there is nothing better than a freshly fried, crisp batter. That goes for all things, fish, chicken, vegetables, from all cuisines. Once you've incorporated all the liquid and the batter looks nice and smooth, just put this to one side, again to rest for another 15 minutes. So if you are keeping your yeast, just make sure it's covered and in an airtight container. That way you can keep it in the fridge and it will last for a long time. Use that to make bread in the future and have that on the side of your fish and chips if you feel like a little fish and chip butty. So after 15 minutes, your batter should be nice and rested, nice and thick. What you should be looking for are just a few little ribbon trails when you move the whisk around, just indicating that it's a good thickness, perfect for clinging to our fish. What you're looking for in a good, crispy, battered fish is a firm, flaky, white fish. So cod, hake, haddock, these are all classic fishes to use. So we're using cod today, but if you want to see the full recipe, the link is in the description below. To cook my battered fish today, I'm using a deep fat fryer. At home, you could use a deep pan, as long as you fill it with the oil no more than halfway. You want to get your oil up to a good 170 degrees temperature. So my batter has had time to rest. First thing you need to do is just give your batter one quick whisk, just to make sure any lumps are gone and it's perfectly smooth. I'm just going to lower it into the batter, just holding on to the thinner end, the tail end, and just making sure that it's really well covered. I'm going to just hold the fish over the oil, holding it in just for a few seconds, just so it's not going to stick to the bottom or the basket, and then with a gentle push, move it away from me and let it sit in there to start frying for about 6 minutes. So we're frying this in vegetable oil, but you can use any kind of alternative flavorless oil. Things like ground nut work really well, sunflower. You want something that can take a good high heat and fry and make things extra crispy. I'm just going to drain this onto a little bit of kitchen paper just to soak up any of the excess oil from the frying. What I'm looking for is this lovely crispy outside, this crunchy crispy batter, a nice golden color. If you're looking to do anything with the leftover batter, obviously you can make more fish, but what you could do is just take some of those bits of batter, just drip them into the hot oil and make what you call scraps, the little bits of fried batter that you often get alongside a good fish and chip takeaway. This is the perfect way to serve this crispy beer battered fish with some triple cooked chips. To get the most out of your cooking oil, why not make both recipes at the same time, the fish and the chips? You'll find the recipe for the triple cooked chips in the top right hand corner. I've got some lovely freshly crushed peas with some mint a little slice of lemon and some tartar sauce. So all that's missing for me on this plate are lashings of ketchup and loads of vinegar. But other ways you could use this recipe is to take smaller amounts of the fish, use the same batter, deep fry it, and make yourself some delicious fish tacos, filling that soft tortilla with something like a nice fresh coleslaw and drizzling it with some maybe chili and some fresh sour cream. So let us know how you like your fish and chips. I personally do not enjoy a mushy pea, but maybe you're different. Do let us know in the comments below. So here's my at-home recreation of the absolute British takeaway classic, crispy beer battered fish. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.